Welcome to Summon Your Superhuman. I'm your host, Ria Mestiza, and today I want to talk to you about why does it always feel like I'm being knocked down? And I think if you're listening to this, you obviously have that feeling where you said to yourself, like, why is this always happening to me? And this very week on Monday, I was like having a really good day and things were going well. And then I got stung by a bee. And then it was a knockout. It was not terribly allergic, thank God, but yeah, I had to relax. I had to do nothing and rest for a little while because I felt dizzy and just it wasn't fun. It wasn't a fun time. And obviously we don't get stung by a bee, hopefully not often unless you're a beekeeper, but we get into these situations where we're finding momentum, we're getting things done, and then boom, something happens. Something gets in your way, some deadline comes up, or something knocks you out. And it could be anything. Sometimes it's a big thing, sometimes it's a little thing, but it's enough to rock you. And for me, it makes me think about boxing, and it's being in the ring. It's like you're just going for your jabs, jab, jab, hook, and kick, punch, whichever. If you're doing Muay Thai or anything like that, it's like you're in the ring, and anything can happen at any time. And you think, oh wow, I'm getting going well, like got good momentum. I'm more skilled than my offender, and next minute you cop a punch that rattles you, and you just can't stand straight, and you can't move forward. So this can get quite frustrating, if you keep viewing it like that, if you keep viewing it as an obstacle. But if we keep it on the analogy of boxing, you getting knocked out or knocked you know for six, um it's around. You go back to the corner and you review with your coach what happened, what should I do better, and so forth, right? And so it's kind of like acknowledging the challenge. Someone on the outside is looking in more clearly than you are in that circumstance. But when we think about, well, really the inspiration for this episode was me thinking about the video games that I used to play when I was younger. And I've I pulled out a remote, right? So Super NES controller, and you're playing your video game, and you've gotten used to all what the buttons mean, kick, punch, jump, shoot, whatever you need to do, right? And yeah, the level's starting to feel good, you're cruising, and then you get to the end. So it's almost like my background. If you're watching, you get to this clearance where you're almost like, yes, I'm going to get to the next level. And then this boss comes in and blocks your way. And then you're there like, okay, now I need to figure out how to defeat this boss in a way that I haven't done it before. And this is a new boss, and this is my first time here. And most of the time you lose the first time. You get beat up and you die and get sent back to the start. But every time you get sent back to the start, you've upgraded your skills. You now have a little bit of knowledge about what that boss is about, what abilities that boss has, and what you start to think now, okay, what do I need to bring this time to make sure I don't get knocked out and sent back to the start? And I think that that's an interest, like that for me really relates to how we feel in life. Because just like the video game, if you just keep going, some hopefully you have never ending lives, right? But you keep topping up and you keep going forward, and you get to the boss, and it doesn't matter if you You die each time 3, 4, 5, 6 times, but every time you start back at the beginning, you're more determined to win the next time round. And eventually, if you don't quit, you'll win and you'll pass through to the other side. And the other side is just another level. And then that next level will have this new environment that you'll need to navigate through. And then you're there thinking about, like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Well, that's difficult. That's different. And you start to go through and you're like, oh, I'm getting the hang of it now. Like, I'm getting the hang of it. This is not too bad. And then again, you'll get to the end of that level and think you're almost on the other side. And boom, you'll have another obstacle. You'll have another boss to defeat. And so every new level that you get to, you'll have new skills, new abilities, and a different outlook on how you can navigate past this obstacle or this boss to get to the next stage. And I know how frustrating it is. I remember playing for hours and hours, days, weeks, just trying to pass these hard stages. And it's just like when you're trying to do things in life, it could be like a physical sport and you're trying to get good at something. And then you just can't seem to get good. But then eventually you get a little bit better. And then you get a little bit better. And then you don't suck after a while. And these things are all about really turning these knockdowns into opportunities. And I've said this before in the episode that we did about setbacks. I'll link it in the show notes. But it's so easy to get discouraged when we get knocked down. But I want us to think about how encountering these setbacks is basically it's a natural part of growth. Because think about how boring would the game be, right? So you're in this play, it could be like it's just a single player game, multiplayer game, and you're just cruising along, right? It's just this nice cruisy journey. It's almost scenic. It's just you're just walking through and there's no obstacles. It's just you're almost going on a scenic walk. Who's buying that video game? Like, who's going to spend time sitting there playing this video game where you're literally just walking? All you're doing is just like, you're literally just pressing like the right button, and you're just moving forward or up, and like you're just looking around. You don't even need the other buttons. Like, what are these even for? Because there's nothing else to do, and it's like life is also that way. Life is not meant to be easy. Life is meant to have obstacles. Life is meant to, you're supposed to grow. When you're younger, you go through growing pains, and growing pains they hurt, and they stretch you in physical ways, and that's just the journey of life. So these knockdowns, yeah, they hurt. You get knocked out, you get discouraged, you don't want to go any further. You've got a black eye, you've got a bruised ego because you can't pass that level and everyone else seems to be able to. But that's your responsibility. Like, you can quit and never pass it, but then you won't get the satisfaction of passing it. And you'll never know what you are truly destined for, or what you are actually able to do if you just had given it a good old crack. So the satisfaction in persisting. And I apologize if my message seems to be very similar at times, but it's because they all overlay. And these challenges and boss levels, these obstacles, and they're all about just progressing through the perceived failures to the other side, which is the success, which is the win. It's another dash for the win board, and just something that you can feel proud about. It's time to see the blessings, seeing how these setbacks, even though they're challenging, they're blessings in disguise. And they ultimately offer experiences that help us grow stronger. It's also important to have a good support network. So like I said, if it's a single player game or a multiplayer game, or you're in the boxing ring, you have the coach in the corner and you've got another set of eyes to help you see things that you didn't get to see. To be like, oh, watch out over there, or watch for that right hook. And I think that that's also important too, because if you really find that you're struggling and you're constantly getting knocked out, and you feel like maybe this isn't for me, maybe I should just stop now, cut my losses. But maybe get another set of eyes and ears to hear and see what you're going through. And maybe it's not the end. Maybe you just needed a fresh outlook and a different perspective. And then see. And then decide. So I hope today has helped you see things in a different light. I know I brought in my gaming controller just to paint a picture for other people who also like games. But life is like a game, and that's a very common analogy I don't like to use, but it's true to a degree. There are rules, and and there are all sorts of things that happen in games, in any sort. And if I've been able to shine some light onto what you're experiencing, what I've been experiencing and continue to experience, we just have to get back up. So I guess to summarize today is we're always going to get knocked back, knocked down. We're going to get an obstacle in our way. We're going to run out of time on a particular level and have to start again. But that's just life. Life is a game, they say, but it is. And it's yours. And you get to choose what you do with it. So even though that they might seem like a deterrent, but they're literally stepping stones on your path to greatness. So please try to embrace the journey with courage and trust in your growth. You're not alone, and lean on your support network and keep pushing forward. You got this. So if you found this helpful, please subscribe so you can stay tuned to future episodes. I will always strive to get back up when I get knocked down, when I get stung by a bee. But yeah, until next time, Superhuman, strengthen your mind, body, and soul muscles, and stay amazing.